Hello everyone, this is Pamela from Design Wishes by Pamela, here to share with you a tutorial on how I created the box for the G45 Communique project. There is a video out there for this project. If you go to my YouTube channel or if you go to my blog, designwishesbypamela.wordpress.com, you can see a full video of the completed project. So we're not going to make the pages or the mini album today. I just want to share with you the box. And what I really liked about this design is it's a small footprint, but it packs a lot of space for chipboard pages and again a mini album. I have another project with this box, but it does not feature a mini album, just larger pages. So you could pop over to my blog and check out that video as well. It's made with a Christmas themed paper. So let me go ahead and get started and let you know what you'll need to create the box. You'll need 2 pieces of medium weight chipboard. Now I like using the graphics chipboard. It's a nice medium weight. It's not too thick and it's not too thin, and it really holds up well for all of my projects. So use whatever you prefer, but you'll need 2 pieces of 12 by 12 chipboard. You can get 3 of the pieces in this box out of 1 sheet of chipboard, and then you'll need that second piece for the additional pieces, and I'll explain that a little bit. So let me show you what you're going to need. You'll need a 5.5 by 12 inch piece of chipboard for the back of the box. You'll need a 3.5 by 12 inch piece of chipboard for the front of your box. You'll need a 2 7/8 by 12 inch piece for the bottom of your box. You'll need 2 3/4 by 5.5 inch pieces for the sides of your box, and you want to mark a 3.5 inch mark on one side of each of these pieces, and I'll explain what we're going to be doing with that. For the inside of the box, if you recall from the video, there are channel pieces inside of the box, and let me show you with a finished project what I'm talking about. If you can see, and I hope you can, there are grooves that are made with the strips to hold your pages in. And the reason why you want to do that is you don't want your pages just to flop on one another. I thought this was a really cool idea that I came up with. So the pages can actually slide within the grooves. So you can move them around and slide them within the grooves here. And then they sit really nicely in the box. So with that being said, let me put this back and out of the way. With that being said, it really does depend on you on how many that you make and how wide your strips are. So these are approximately 1/4 in width, and I have 6 of them here. I may not use all of them, but again, it depends on how wide you want the distance between each strip for your pages. And your chipboard pages, you may have more embellishment or less embellishment, so that would determine how wide you want it. So the important thing to know is however many strips you want by 12 inches. So it has to span the width or the length of the bottom of the box. Whatever width the strip, it's just the length that's important to keep it 12 inches. And I will share with you a little bit more about that. So that is what you will need to get started to make this box. And then there's some additional steps. We'll go through those. So let's go ahead and get started. What you'll need to do is create some construction strips, or use the method I'm going to show you that I use on the majority of all of my projects that I make with chipboard or cardstock. I use mailing tape, and you probably have seen this mailing tape before. It has fibers that run through it, and it's pre-gummed here. That's what the shiny part is. This big roll I just bought because the roll that I had previously lasted almost 3 years and several projects with and without chipboard. So again, I love it. It's very sturdy and very durable. It does not fall apart. Your projects hold up really well. And if you check out some of my videos of my projects, almost every single project has been made with this tape. So I know it takes a beating because one of my projects is my distress ink holder, and that takes a beating, and it's still holding up quite nicely. So that's what I'm going to use for my construction strips. So let's get back to building the box. This is the 2 7/8 by 12 inch chipboard that we cut. This is your bottom of your box. What I like to do first, and let me find it, is go ahead and add my strips partially to the bottom of this box, because I will explain why. It's because you don't want the tape to interfere when you lay the strips down. So usually when I get started using the tape, I will kind of roughly measure out how wide or long of a strip I need, and it's an approximate. You just want enough that you at least have 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch of the tape on each side of your project or section of your project. So I cut a piece, I fold it in half, I burnish it with my bone folder so the shiny side is down on together, right? And so I only want to do one side, and that's the side where I'm going to be laying my strips down. So you want to wet, and not too much, you want to wet just one side. So I'm going to do that off camera. So you want to make sure you have enough water on your tape. And then you want to lay it down, about halfway, butt it up against that fold. The reason why you don't want too much water on the tape, because if you do, it will definitely warp your chipboard. So if you're a little heavy-handed, you can certainly have your heat gun handy, so you can dry that chipboard off right away. So I just burnished and folded in half the other side for the other side, and I'm just going to wet that one side down, and I'm using a spray bottle here. And if you think you have too much, just wipe that off with your finger. And again, let me get in camera view. Again, you're going to lay that down so that the chipboard is up against that fold line, and then you're just going to run your bone folder over that to make sure you have good contact. Now, this step for adding the little strips is, you want to do it when you have the bottom free of the sides. It's really hard to get your hand inside this narrow box. So I like to do this before, and it's a really good idea to be as straight as possible The other thing is, depending on how wide you want your channels, you want to make yourself a little template with your medium weight chipboard that you're using. Use the same chipboard that you're using for the project, otherwise it's not going to be even width based on the width of your chipboard. So I decided for this tutorial to do 3 widths. So there are 3 pieces of chipboard just taped together or glued together here that I'm going to use as my spacer for the project. I'm going to take some wet glue, and hopefully it's open, and if it's not, I am going to open that hole up. Okay, so I'm going to take one of my strips and I'm going to add some wet glue just down the center, and then I'm going to apply it to the very first edge or the front edge of my bottom, lining it up edge to edge on my bottom piece of my box. Okay, making sure that I'm all the way over. And let me get this down and then I'll show you a closer look at it. You do have some wiggle room with the wet glue. I like using the wet glue for this part because sometimes when you use double-sided tape, you won't have, if you make a mistake or you need to make an adjustment, it'll tear that chipboard. So you just want to make sure that you are straight on this very first row of your strips, because that's going to set the pattern and making sure that you are straight. Okay, so then you want to take your little guide, and what you're going to do is go ahead and add glue to your next strip. And what I do is just take the guide and hold it down to line up my channel. And then I just press that down lightly, because you're going to run the guide across in sections to make sure that you have a straight channel. And we're going to do this a number of times for this tutorial, so if I am not on camera here, you will see it and I'll talk you through it. And I'm just pushing that guide and that strip together so that I have a straight channel, as straight as possible. All right, so that's 2 down. So then we're gonna add glue to our next strip. And we're gonna take our guide and we're gonna butt that piece up to, don't worry if you get glue everywhere else, because we are going to paint the bottom of this.